All right, everybody, we're talking training. When I put out, small messages on my Instagram, there's only so much I can say. So we're diving a little deeper. So this is the bottom line. I've talked a lot about looking at training from more of a philosophical standpoint. And what I mean by that is don't worry so much about how many sets, how many reps. You got to go a little bit by feel, number one. And number two, you always got to make sure it's different. The fact that you don't do the same thing week after week is a huge factor in keeping the body guessing, which allows that forward progress to continue. So people will say, well, I like to do sets of 5. Well, great. Do some sets of 5. Do some sets of 10. Do some sets of 20. If generally speaking, when you find that you don't want to do something, that's when you got to dig in, because if you don't like those sets of 20, it means you don't do them very much, which means there is some serious area for growth there, because when you do things that you don't want to do, it's usually because you don't do them very much, and that is a key in terms of keeping your training fresh. So the bottom line is you got to really just kind of open your mind. If you like doing sets of 5, great, do them, but also do some 10s, do some 3s, do some 20s. Now think in terms of exercises, the exact same thing. If you like doing bench press and you don't like dumbbell bench press, well, guess what? Time to stick some dumbbell bench press in there. Oh, goodness. Time to stick some dumbbell bench press in there. Here again, mix it up. If you did bench press this week, do incline press next week. If you do them both this week, do them reverse order. If you did them reverse order in both last week, do a different rep range. There's so many ways that you can make your training basically not only very effective, but it can be interesting. It can even be fun. It's gonna suck sometimes, but the bottom line is even the things we love are gonna suck sometimes. So we've talked about rep schemes. We've talked about exercises. Now we need to talk about your split. How many days do you put in? Some weeks you might want to take an extra day off. Other weeks you might want to go straight all the way through. I've had phases where I've trained 15, 16 days in a row because I knew I was coming into a phase where I was going to need to be overtrained because I was going to have to take a few days off where I couldn't get to the proper facility, a gym, all that kind of good stuff. So what I'm really getting at here is let go of the rules. There is no rules. As soon as you can realize there is no rules, that's when you're going to really, really start to make that forward progress. So in terms of training, that's what I mean by think of it from more of a philosophical standpoint. Now that you've taken these 3 components of your training, now the simple question is to ask yourself, if you're training, say, chest and triceps, did you bust your ass to the point where those muscles are finished? They got nothing left to give. Sometimes when you get into a training protocol, you realize you get towards the end and there's nothing left. Sometimes there's a little more. You get your diet dialed in, you're going to start to realize your gas tank is getting deeper and deeper. If there's more, take it. That's definitely something that you have to start paying close attention to. What I like to do is program my training to where, if anything, there's too much. Because what I'd rather not do is leave something on the table. If I start to become a little overtrained, I can take a little bit more time off, I can sleep a little more, eat a little better, whatever it is. But the bottom line is, I don't like the thought process of leaving potential progress on the table. So, again, think of training from more of a philosophical standpoint. Get outside the box. Forget the rules. The bottom line is there is no rules.